I'm Gregory Evans. And this week, I want to talk about global payment systems and the hack and the statement that their CEO put out. I've done a lot of interviews in the last week about global payments and about the hack. And people, they came out with a statement because they hadn't came out with a statement. And they hadn't planned on coming out with a statement. It wasn't until like WSB TV camped out in their front yard. Some things in their statement just didn't sound right. As an example, they said only 1.5 million credit cards were compromised. Global Payment Systems does transactions for over 1 billion credit cards. How is it that less than 1% was only compromised? That's like somebody breaking into Fort Knox and only stealing $200. In addition to that, there's laws out there that says that if a customer's private information has been compromised, that there has to be some type of notification. Well, Global Payments knew in early March, according to the CEO's statement, that there was a breach, but yet they never said anything. The only reason I'm doing this video blog, the only reason anybody wrote about this, TV stations, radios even picked it up, is because they had an insider. Someone leaked an internal email that was talking about the breach. So it's not like they came to us first. They had pressure put on them. Now, here's the scary part about it. Were they ever going to even tell us? Did they even tell Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, even Discover, that they had been compromised? And if they did tell the credit card companies immediately, how come the credit card companies never notified you? Even to this day, have you received anything in the mail from the credit card companies at all telling you that, your credit card may be compromised? You probably haven't. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a numbers game. Let's say their figure of 1.5, let's round it off to 1 million. 1 million credit cards could have been compromised. Now, out of that 1 million, if they kept it to themselves, Global Payments, and let's say they kept it between Global Payments, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, it is to the credit card company, not Global Payments, but the credit card company. It's to their benefit not to report it immediately. Why? If 1 million credit cards were compromised and 100,000 people got their statement a month later, and they didn't know anything about a breach or whatever, and they're looking at their statement, and they see that there's some charges that they didn't make, they call in and say, hey, I didn't make these charges, and then the credit card company will give them credit for it. But what about the other 900,000 people who didn't even really read their statement? They just saw their credit card bill and just paid it. Let's say it's not even 100,000. Let's say 600,000 people read their credit card statement and saw that they had some charges on there that they didn't make. Then what happens? Then you still have 400,000 to 300,000 people who still may have some illegal charges on their credit card but didn't report it. So it's good for the credit card company to not turn around and notify you immediately. Now, I'm not saying this is what happened, but it still doesn't make any sense that if Global Payments found out about this, in early March, why did the story break in April? Why is that? And what took him so long to come out with the statement? Now, what could have really happened here? Something that I was just playing with, something I was researching with. Identity theft, computer hacking, especially identity theft, has exploded over the last couple of years. Well, I take that back. Over the last 15 years. Why? When we started shipping our jobs overseas to India, when we started sending them to the Philippines, we started giving people who make less in 1 week than you can make in a whole day, we started giving them all our personal information. When you called them for your bank, when you called them to pay your cable bill, people were asking you for your personal information. They asked you for your account number. I need to verify your account number. Can you tell me your social security number on it? Can you tell me the 4 digits on the back of your credit card? When you're making payments, they're asking for all your information. Who are these people that we're giving this information to? Now, Global Payments last summer opened up a 70,000 square foot office in the Philippines. They house 700 employees that work 24/7. Now, if they've never had a problem before in all these years, processing credit cards and being hacked, why all of a sudden, in less than a year after they open up their new facility in the Philippines, does this happen? Now, the only thing that I can think of, and maybe somebody else out there has a better idea, maybe you should have grilled the CEO instead of just taking his statement and thinking that it's biblical, but think about this. If 1.5 million out of over 1 billion credit cards was compromised, and they say they contained it, those are the words they used, maybe it didn't come from outside. Maybe it came from inside. Maybe it was somebody within the company who was actually stealing those credit card numbers. Someone in their IT security team actually saw too much traffic going across the network, started investigating it, and noticed, hey, we have a lot of credit card numbers moving across the network. Why? And why is it going to this particular IP address that could be located here in the United States or the Philippines? I'm just saying, I'm not saying this is what happened, but it just makes you think. Because his whole statement to anybody that's in the computer security industry doesn't make sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense, and this is to anybody who's been hacked. When someone tells you that they're bringing in the industry leaders, who are considered the industry leaders? Industry leaders are people who have actually hacked before, and now they're showing people how to protect themselves. Just because you have a PhD from MIT does not make you an industry leader at all. So people like Losat, Anonymous, those kids out there are probably smarter than the people that you have working in your companies. Although we know that they weren't behind this hack. Remember, whoever did this was a professional. If they stole the 1.5 million credit cards from outside the company, they didn't go out and post it on Twitter and Facebook and post it in Pastebin. No, they kept this to themselves. Think about that. And the other thing that doesn't make sense is when he says that no personal, like names and addresses, were compromised, but only the credit card numbers. But people should still check their credit card statement. Understand this. If I don't have your credit card number, well, let me back up. If I have your credit card number and I have the expiration and the security code on the back, what about me having your name and address? I need that if I'm going to go out and start spending your credit card information. Or let's back up. I need that if I'm going to take your credit card and go shopping with it. I need to know what zip code goes along with that credit card. If I'm shopping online, or if I decide I want to clone it on the back of another card and go shopping, I still need to know that information. There's no way I can see somebody stealing credit card numbers, but not stealing the names and addresses to go along with it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm totally right. There's just a whole bunch of questions that still need to be asked. And somebody needs to ask these questions. This is Gregory Evans, and this is my video blog.